وسهلا بكل الذين ينضموا للاستماع إلى راديو بلدي أول راديو عربي أمريكي ويعنى بقضايا العرب في المهجر. برامجنا في راديو بلدي كل يوم جمعة من 8 وحتى 9 صباحا مع ليلى الحسيني في بث حي ومباشر عبر wnzk راديو 690 AM. صباح الخير بلدي، صباح الخير لكل مستمعينا.
Welcome to Radio Baladi, the first Arab, Middle Eastern, and American simulcast radio show. Radio Baladi is broadcast every Friday morning on wnzk 690 AM from 8 until 9 Eastern Time on Good Morning Michigan with Layla Al-Husseini. Our call-in number 248-557-3300. And now, stay tuned for the best radio talk show on Arab and American issues with your host, Layla Al-Husseini.
And good morning, Radio Baladi listeners. This is Adel Mozip welcoming you to the show. This is great. I've been really on the radio pretty much every month right now. So I'm really glad that I'm doing this, and I'm really glad that you have joined us this morning. And today we have a very, very important topic: immigration, dreamers, DACA, and what's going on in D.C. Next month as far as the Muslim ban as well. We have a great guest with us today who will be on the phone with us, Dr. Suzana Flores. She is a psychologist, an Amazon best-selling author of the book Face Hooked, of psychological expert, and she has been on this show before with Dr. Opada Alzohaili. And today we will be talking immigration-wise and the psychological effect that these dreamers, these students who have that status from the previous administration have during this time. So I'm very interested in hearing also your opinion on DACA or on the Muslim ban as well. The phone number for the radio station is 248-557-3300. Or you can chime in on social media, either on US Arab Radio page or on Twitter using the hashtag Radio Baladi. Again, the hashtag is Radio Baladi, and the phone number is 248-557-3300. I'm not sure if I have Dr. Flores on the line, or not yet. Okay, so we gonna listen to some sound bites from President Trump talking about, going back and forth, and people until today don't really have an idea of President Trump is actually wants to deport dreamers or he wants to keep them here. So I'm gonna play a little bit of a sound bite if I can get this to work. From President Trump talking about, or flip-flopping actually, on DACA.
The wall. Everyone loves it.
Election 2016.
We will begin working on an impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful, beautiful southern border wall. And yes, we will build the wall. We've already started planning. It will be built. Yeah, we're going to build a wall. It's going to be a real wall. See that ceiling up there? I mean, this is a wall that if you get up there, you're not coming down very easy. I said the wall just got 10 feet higher. That's right. It's true.
It was a central campaign promise by Donald Trump. It was easy to understand. It was a physical, big, beautiful wall. You heard the man. What a difference between the airy...
This one is actually about the wall, not DACA. But I did have a soundbite. So, Dr. Flores on the line? Okay. Dr. Flores, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's nice to have you. Well, if we can give a better introduction about yourself than I had in the beginning of the show. Obviously, you were on the show before, and you talked about Facebook and the social network and how people are hooked to it, and talked about your book as well. That is one of the best-selling on Amazon. So tell us more about yourself to the listeners.
Yes. Well, I'm currently a licensed clinical psychologist. I'm in Arizona. And for several years now, I've dedicated my work to studying the psychological phenomenon of social media. It started around 2009 when I began to notice a radical shift in my clients' presentation on how they were being affected by the multiple messages they were receiving at multiple times during the day of like from different sources over different social media platforms. And I was noticing anxiety, depression, and so on. And because of my work, I also study Twitter, and I have been following the president's tweets, President Trump's tweets, and how how he conveys the message, two, how we're receiving the message and the emotional effect of it all. And, with today's program, the message is sent about DACA and, among other things, obviously trigger very strong emotional reactions. So I tend to follow, things, of this nature, pop culture, what is moving people, what is the current, political, social climate over such messages that are sent over these platforms.
Right, and right now with the instant communication part, when people are really, having direct kind of communication back and forth, and everything is happening all at once, very fast. It's very different from how it used to be when if there's something breaking news, it would go on TV first, and then people would get the kind of a detailed story. Instead, right now, you're getting as it happens, updates.
Yes. In my book, Face Hooked, one of the predictions that I made, if we continue to communicate or receive most of our information through social media networks, where aside from other things that most people would see is like the impulsivity, the destruction of relationships or friendships, making false assumptions, etc. What I worried about, it was a hypothetical, what would happen if leaders of the world, started to partake in such communication, because this is not just a U.S. phenomenon. Social media is a global phenomenon, and so, if we are losing our filters of, what is appropriate to say, what is kind, what is not kind, what is private, what is not, and we begin to just share more of ourselves, even the darker elements of ourselves, and add to that the impulsivity of doing so. I was very concerned about what this would look like, and truthfully, based on current events, especially current social media events, it is my worst nightmare realized based on the work that I've done.
Let's actually, we just got the sound bites to work right now. Let's take a look. First of all, to President Trump statement on DACA, and then also the Attorney General Jeff Sessions talking about the same program being unconstitutional. So let's first hear President Trump's remarks on DACA. Sure, the video there is not streaming well, so let's listen to the Attorney General also then.
Known as DACA, that was effectuated under the Obama administration, is being rescinded. The DACA program was implemented in 2012 and essentially provided a legal status for recipients for a renewable 2-year term, work authorization, and other benefits, including participation in the Social Security program to 800,000 mostly adult illegal aliens. The policy was implemented unilaterally to great controversy and legal concern after Congress rejected legislative proposals to extend similar benefits on numerous occasions to this same group of illegal aliens. In other words, the executive branch, through DACA, deliberately sought to achieve what the legislative branch specifically refused to authorize on multiple occasions. Such an open-ended circumvention of immigration laws was an unconstitutional exercise of authority by the executive branch. The effect of this unilateral executive amnesty, among other things, contributed to a surge of minors at the southern border that yielded terrible humanitarian consequences. It also did not.
So here, the Attorney General is talking about, constitutionality of the program. And by the way, someone just asked, what is DACA? It's a Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. It's a program that was instilled by the Obama administration for those children who arrive with their undocumented parents, and they come here as minors. And that program right now is in kind of a toss-up, or it's on its way to being revoked. So, Dr. Flores, what do you think the effect now on these students who already received this status, and probably they were on their way to college or universities? How do you think their life psychologically has changed?
I think that probably since the beginning of this administration, the anxiety has already elevated. Not just for them, for many individuals, and especially those from marginalized groups or minorities, because truthfully, let's face it, they have been the target of certain rhetoric. What has happened recently has led to nothing short of emotional devastation. Like you are given an opportunity or a promise that if you complete these requirements, some of which are, like you are crime free, that you don't have any charges against you, you attend college, or you join the military to prove that you can be an upstanding citizen, and you keep renewing it for 2 years, continuing to prove that you are an upstanding citizen, or that you can be, and then there is, hopefully the promise of citizenship. So these at this point, most of them perhaps are college students at this point, have been working towards their degree, and have been, following the requirements, and then to just have that ripped from them, literally within days, of a decision, and it's devastational, and of course, then leading to panic, because imagine you are ripped from the only country of your origin that and there's the possibility of being placed in a country that you do not know, with a language you do not speak, or no degrees, that would be applicable to that country. It's terrifying for them.
So and some of these youth, actually, if they were to go back, they actually do not have a citizenship for that country, so
they do not.
They would be stateless, for better word.
Yes. Yeah. So if it's difficult to find work, imagine how difficult it would be for them. And again, you don't speak the language.
Right.
It is a reality. Many have compared it to like some sort of fantasy or Twilight Zone reality that they're living in, where everyone is on edge and no one knows from day to day what is going to occur. It almost seems like everyone is being held limb to the leaders' emotional reactions of that day, and that insecurity, that instability, that lack of comfort over time will take an emotional and physical toll on many people.
How much of this separation? Some families have been separated, and actually, here in Michigan, there is a judge who actually blocked a deportation for Iraqi Christians who were deported or being deported, and many of the families here in the communities rose together, and they actually demonstrated and got the judge to block that order. So right now it's still in, they're still in deportation procedures, but they actually have more time to kind of defend themselves from being deported back to Iraq, where they actually their life would be endangered if they go back to an area where it's still not safe. So,
Yes.
um,
It's a difficult reality for people to conceptualize who are not in that situation.
Not anymore. Let's take a commercial break, and when we come back, we will talk further on DACA and the program. How many children are there registered right now, and the effect that's going to happen in the near future with those proceedings. And we'll talk a little bit on October 10th Supreme Court ruling on the Muslim ban. So we will take a commercial break, and we will be back.
The Rama Relief Foundation provides humanitarian aid into areas inside of war-torn Syria, as well as aid to the refugees who have fled to the neighboring countries in the Middle East. The foundation offers food baskets, container shipment, mental health, education, soup kitchens, and more. Go to ramarelief.org or call 248-990-4247. Any donation amount made to Rama will go to sustaining many lives. Call now 248-990-4247.
Are you ready to go back to get that degree you've always wanted? Is there a young person in your life looking for the right college? Are you ready to transfer to a 4-year institution? Well, take a look at today's Marygrove College, a tradition of academic excellence right here, right now in the city of Detroit. Classes start September 5th. There's still time to apply for fall and get scholarships. Don't pass up this opportunity. marygrove.edu. Ahlan bikum fi Marygrove College.
When you're looking for the best in optical care, Dr. Imad Nakash is your doctor to see. With years of experience and thousands of successful procedures performed, you can trust your eyes to Dr. Imad Nakash. See Dr. Imad Nakash and his professional staff for your eye care needs. There's 2 locations to serve you. In Hazel Park, call 248-336-3937. 248-336-3937. In Rochester Hills, call 248-299-3937. That's 248-299-3937.
Ziyad brand. Quality products from our family to yours. Ziyad Brothers Importing offers the finest quality products, including brands like Sultan, Kraft, Nestle, Hook, Rico Picon, Donna, and many more. Ask your retailer to carry these fine products because you deserve the very best. For more information, visit our website at www.ziyad.com. That's www.ziyad.com. Ziyad, quality products from our family to yours.
Life for Relief and Development is a nonprofit charity that has been providing humanitarian aid and development to people and communities regardless of race, color, religion, or cultural background for over 22 years. When disaster occurs here or around the world, Life rushes to provide food, medical aid, and shelter to those in need. Life also has development projects that provide medical relief, water purification, educational programs, relief for orphans, and much more. Your help and support can greatly improve these efforts. All donations are tax deductible. For more information, please visit our website at lifeusa.org or call 248-424-7493. That's lifeusa.org, 248-424-7493.
And welcome back, Radio Baladi listeners, to the show. This is Adel Mozip welcoming you back to the show. Today we're talking about the DACA program, and also later on talking about the Muslim ban and the psychological effect that the people affected and the families affected by this are having. And I have with me on the line Dr. Suzana Flores. She is a licensed psychologist and Amazon bestseller, author of the book Faced Hooked, and she is also an expert in TV, radio, and print media. So I will play a little bit of the press conference that day, that was on September 5th, when the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, announced that there will be an end to the program. So let's hear some of the comments or the remarks by also President Trump.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased to be here with Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Speaker Paul Ryan, and the 2 leaders of our tax writing committees, Chairman Orrin Hatch and Chairman Kevin Brady. We've been working on tax reform for months with our Secretary of the Treasury, Stephen Mnuchin, and Gary Cohn, our National Economic Council Director. Since the day I took office, we've added 1.2 million private sector jobs, and a lot more than that if you go from the time we actually got elected November 8th, including 125,000 manufacturing jobs, and we just had another very good month for manufacturing and the jobs. You probably all saw that. But if we're going to keep this momentum going and allow the economy to truly take off as it should, it is vital that we reduce the crushing tax burden on our companies and on our workers. We pay the highest tax of any country in the world on businesses, and we can't keep doing that. Last week, I repeated my principles for taxing fine, but we lost the competitive edge. You see what's going on all over the world. So we can have real job growth throughout America. We can't be the jobs magnet of the world if we continue to tax our industries at rates 60% higher than companies in, and this is more than just tax reform, this is tax cutting, to put it in a very simple term. We're going to cut taxes. We're going to reduce taxes for people. See it with companies moving back in. They're moving back in at very, very big numbers. They're coming back into our country. You haven't seen that for a long time, so we're very proud of that. So we're now going to discuss tax reform and tax cuts, and I appreciate you being here. I have a love for these people, and hopefully now Congress will be able to help them and do it properly. And I can tell you, in speaking to members of Congress, they want to be able to do something and do it right. And really, we have no choice. We have to be able to do something. And I think it's going to work out very well. And long term, it's going to be the right solution.
Dr. Flores, obviously the whole clip was supposed to be about DACA, and then he started talking about the tax reform. And then when he received a question about the DACA dreamers, or as they're being called right now, he said that he has, quote unquote, a love for these people and their and that Congress will do something for them. So a lot of mixed messages. First of all, the Attorney General before that saying that this was unconstitutional, it's going to end, and then now he's saying Congress is going to do something for it. So the mixed messages, what do you take for that?
Well, I want to just say the disclaimer, I am not a political analyst.
Right, sure.
However, in terms of the messages received, that goes back to our cognitive dissonance, in the sense that many people are confused because I believe that his administration cannot keep up with certain statements, or they have to keep switching them themselves, right? It's very hard to keep track of who said what, when, and where we're going at this point, and who to believe. And that's, the who to believe part, because of, the messages that were sent, this is fake, no, this is fake, hashtag fake news. And the way that we process information, yes, it's leading to grand confusion, which is perhaps distracting us from many other issues that we should be focusing on. But the DACA recipients and the dreamers, they don't, the reason for the state of anxiety is because although some individuals would say, well, he gave a hopeful statement that, hopefully Congress will help them, but on the other hand, then why are you rescinding it? And compared to other comments, no one knows what to believe, and no one wants to get too comfortable with the hope of safety. And that's a shame.
So, as of right now, currently, there are no applications obviously accepted for DACA anymore.
I checked your website yesterday. It appears that, yes, they cannot. For right now, there are no more applications.
But they're still accepting renewal for those who already have a status and they want to renew it. I believe that they could still do that until October 5th. And then it will expire between 2017 and 2018, as far as if it expires by March 5th of next year, then they can renew it by October 5th. But people right now are scared, I guess, those who are DACA recipients, to even reapply. Don't you think?
Yes, there are individuals that are very wary of that because, there, again, with the promise of potential citizenship, these individuals came forward, right? So they're already risking, deportation with coming forward. Okay, I will register, in the hope that, and I will follow these rules in the hopes of obtaining citizenship. And there's so many unfortunate, factors to this. Mostly that the DACA dreamers, these are the people that are actually working hard, to contribute to our economy. And most economists agree that DACA helps the U.S. economy. Like, there's this whole notion of nothing is logical in today's world. The Muslim ban is not logical. The border wall, not logical, right? And we're so incredibly polarized. And so, yes, to go back to your question, many people are not only sad and they're frustrated, they're anxious, they're very angry, justifiably so, and they are also terrified to come forward.
Now, the rhetoric of, the President Trump came with to office, about those illegal immigrants that are taking American jobs, that are not following the system, or that are, criminals, big criminals or gang members, that notion.
Right.
So some people have associated that notion with those dreamers, while others have actually sympathized because they were children. They have their, they were not at fault for coming here, obviously. And, looking back at statements of dreamers in back 2013, they were kind of on the edgy area of, our parents brought here, it's not our fault. But right now they're actually defending our parents and saying our parents didn't have a choice. Having those kind of, change of perception by people, what do you think has changed since? Are people more sympathized with the DACA recipients, or they're, they have those notions about them that they are criminals, they're taking their they're taking our jobs, or kind of things of that nature?
I think that is an excellent question, and I think the response depends on who you speak to.
Right.
So, if you speak to, as they're called now, like the alt-right or Trump supporters, or certain individuals, they would say they're illegals. They're under this illusion that they are not, or people are they're under this illusion to believe that these are upstanding citizens. They're really criminals, or as President Trump said, rapists and murderers. And on the other hand, individuals that just want to visit their family, they're told, well, these are terrorists. They are, I think what's happening is that we're not thinking anymore. Because again, the multiple messages that we're receiving, it's exhausting cognitively to process all of this information. So we stop talking to one another, and we just are focusing ourselves on the information that pertains to our team or our side. So I will not open articles from that side, because this side is the only one that's true, because I cannot handle, everything, and I don't know what to believe anymore.
Right.
And so there are many sympathizers for DACA, because it seems, cruel and unusual punishment. There are many sympathizers against the Muslim ban for the exact same reason. And truthfully, if you're just asking, my opinion, it's a matter of, are you racist or not? Do you feel that anyone with brown pigmentation is a threat to you? And if you allow yourself to be, swayed by these short, 140 character messages, which are instilling fear and anger, then you want individuals out of what you believe is your country, right? And that's a whole other conversation of privilege. But I think it's also a matter of, I'm convinced the people that are very against DACA don't even understand what the acronym stands for. I have no idea. I've never even thought about it.
As
right?
you said, we have actually, many of the American people have confined themselves to certain networks or certain, channels on social media. And although, the information is there, the other opinion is there, but if people have, you follow what you like. So if I'm an alt-right, I would just, follow, the alt-right media. If I'm and on the left, I would only follow left media or left, follow people on Twitter based on my political reasonings or my political views.
And it's not even logical debates or, people, because of, again, the nature of social media, are nastier than they would normally be if you were right in front of me. Right, and so when someone is nasty, the natural emotional reaction is to defend yourself, and sometimes to be nasty back. Right, and so people are not talking anymore, and I think that's the radical shift in our current culture, is that we are choosing to blind ourselves, or to cocoon ourselves to certain information. And it's very dangerous to function like that. And as painful as it may be for both sides, perhaps, we have to start talking to each other. But my very serious concern is that people are uninformed. They're making these judgments based on short snippets of information that they do not understand. And individuals with, let's say, extreme views of hatred or racism or so, have metaphorically come out of the closet or have felt encouraged to do so, which has added to the already increasing anxiety, fear, and anger that has been boiling up.
Well, thank you, Dr. Flores. We will take another commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk also on the same lines of the psychological effect that Muslim families have here in the U.S. When it comes especially about the travel ban and separation of families and the anxiety that creates. So we will take a commercial break, and we will be back.
When it comes to reproductive medicine, IVF Michigan Fertility Centers are the recognized leaders. With locations in Bloomfield Hills and 5 other cities in Michigan and Ohio, IVF has experts in all aspects of the field. As a founding member of IVF Michigan Fertility Centers, Dr. Nicholas Shama is one of the leading reproductive endocrinologists in Michigan and Ohio. Dr. Shama has performed over 10,000 IVF cases and has helped thousands of couples fulfill their dreams of parenthood. American board certified in both obstetrics and gynecology and reproductive endocrinology and infertility, Dr. Nicholas Shama is a very caring, compassionate, expert physician that understands not only the medical but also the emotional toil of infertility on his patients. When it's time, get personalized care from Dr. Nicholas Shama at IVF Michigan Fertility Centers in Michigan and Ohio. Call toll-free 855-952-9600, 855-952-9600. The Rama Relief Foundation provides humanitarian aid into areas inside of war-torn Syria, as well as aid to the refugees who have fled to the neighboring countries in the Middle East. The foundation offers food baskets, container shipment, mental health, education, soup kitchens, and more. Go to ramarelief.org or call 248-990-4247. Any donation amount made to Rama will go to sustaining many lives. Call now 248-990-4247.
Are you going to start a restaurant or grocery store soon? Do you need floor plans and designs? Call Naji Abood at 734-744-9796. Do you want to buy kitchen and restaurant equipment at discount prices? Call Naji Abood now, 734-744-9796. New Concept Products and Design, the trademark of kitchen equipment. 5% discount on all purchases of $75,000 or more. New Concept Products and Design, new location, 31185 Schoolcraft in Livonia. Learn more at www.newconceptproducts.com. Call Naji Abood, 734-744-9796.
A car accident can change your life in an instant. As a result of a car accident, you may become unemployed. As a result of a car accident, you may need a lot of medical treatment. People think that insurance companies are on their side. Why? Because they're giving them one or two benefits. Are they giving them all the benefits they deserve? How would one know unless you consult with an attorney? Call the law offices of Jumana Kiruz at 248-557-3645. 248-557-3645.
لايف للإغاثة والتنمية تقدم النجم الصاعد المتميز أمير دندن وسفيرها للنوايا الحسنة الفنان الكبير أحمد فهمي، وعروض شيقة لفرقة تراب بلادي للفلكلور في عدة حفلات في أمريكا: دالاس، هيوستن، تامبا فلوريدا، فيرجينيا، أوهايو، نيو أورليانز، بالإضافة إلى المدن التالية. للمزيد من المعلومات زوروا الموقع الإلكتروني lifeusa.org أو الاتصال بالرقم المجاني 1-800-827-3543.
And welcome back, Radio Baladi listeners. This is Adel Mozip welcoming you back to the show. Today we're talking about DACA, the Muslim ban, and the mixed messages that we are getting and bombarded by media and political figures. The number to call the studio is 248-557-3300 if you would like to participate or if you have a question. I have with me on the line Dr. Suzana Flores. She is a psychologist and also the author of the Amazon bestseller book, Faced Hooked. And we were just talking just before the commercial break about the psychological impact on the DACA recipients and the ones that wanted to be on DACA, and right now they are kind of in a limbo. So in the same lines, I wanted to ask Dr. Flores, families from Muslim countries, especially the six-ban countries, have been on the edge for a while, especially the ones who had, cases being looked at, and right now they're being delayed, or they actually don't know what's going on with those cases or what's going to happen, especially that this ban is going to perhaps take effect on October 10th if the Supreme Court rules or upholds some of its provisions. So separation of families is really, really difficult, especially in this day and age when you have in some people in some countries, war-torn countries, where they would like to reunite with their family immediately.
Yes.
But that's not happening. How do you view that, Dr. Flores?
I think the separation of families is something that our cultures are coping with together in this regard, whether it's DACA recipients or individuals from the countries, as mentioned, that are under the Muslim ban proposal. The same level of devastation, the same level of anxiety, is occurring, and there's a sense of helplessness in terms of how much control someone has over these individuals. I recently met with a client, a PhD student from Iran, and she was mentioning, that her mother was ill and she wanted to return home to visit her mother, but in the meantime, she really wants to finish her PhD, and she was terrified that if she left, that she wouldn't be able to return. During our discussions, we talked about the intense anxiety that is occurring, and if it were any other time, perhaps in history, or rather U.S. history, psychologists would believe that there would be some sort of paranoia going on, or these are extreme emotions, except that under our current reality, the emotional reaction is completely appropriate and completely normal. And we as psychologists were listening to these heartbreaking stories, and many of us feel helpless. All we can really do is, offer support and, encourage people to continue to eat and to sleep and to take care of themselves and to keep in contact with their families, because we cannot control, again, day to day, what news will break out of, am I allowed to stay? Am I not allowed to stay? Am I being, oppressed again? Or are people beginning to support? No one knows anything anymore. And so it's a very, serious emotional toll that it takes on a person.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you, what would you advise those people who are affected and who have families, waiting to be reunited with? You said even to talk to them. So some people say, talking to them and having that conversation on a daily basis or a weekly basis actually causes them to, worry more. So what would be your advice for them, for the people who are affected?
Yes. My advice is to ask them what they need, right? And so when I hear these individuals, when I hear the stories, I ask them, how can I help you today? Would you like me to just sit here and listen and allow you to vent and allow you to, just share your worries and your fears or so? Or do we need to get more proactive and talk about this? A psychological tool to overcome a situation where one feels a lack of control is to really examine what level of control do I have. And this, what I'm going to suggest is the positive side of social media is that, individuals have honored their voice or shared their voice more than any other time in history, especially the younger generations, right? They now have a very powerful voice through social media. And so, and that's as where, that's one of the things that makes, the U.S. what the U.S. was supposed to be, which is freedom of expression and power in each of the citizens of the United States. And for that reason, it's like, try to evaluate what can I do. So if that means protesting, if that means contacting senators, if this means sharing your voice over social media, that's one very powerful step. And the other, what I would advise family, friends of individuals who are at risk, is to simply ask them, even something as basic of, have you eaten today? Because we don't really think of it in those terms, but when you're panicked, anxious, depressed, you begin to neglect your basic needs. Have you eaten? Are you sleeping? What can I do? Can I get you some groceries? And sometimes individuals are so distraught that they can't even make a decision such as groceries. So just bring by groceries or just do something kind. But at the very basic, those of us who, or the individuals who are not DACA recipients, or are not Muslim and they cannot, they don't understand the reality. What they can do is just check in with their friends. How are you doing? And, even with the tone, most individuals understand what they're really asking is like, how are you coping with what's happening and what can I do?
Well, in that sense, obviously they do not know, as you said,
Right.
the things that they're going through. So it would be nice for the people who are not affected, but they know people who are affected, to ask about their well-being, as far as,
yes.
what they're doing.
And for individuals from privileged groups, it's not even an advice that I've had to give. I've seen it, and again, this is the positive side of social media, is they are defending, their brothers and sisters from the Muslim community and from the Latin community. It's like, I stand by you, and those are even like the profile frames that you see, like, I support DACA, I am against the Muslim ban, and to just, even something like this, especially from privileged groups, it just means so much more. It carries a lot of weight to those individuals who do not understand how much people are suffering right now.
Dr. Flores, do you see some kind of, and this is not more of a psychological question, but the DACA recipients as well as the people affected by the Muslim ban kind of getting together and they obviously share some of the same concerns.
Yes. Yes.
Do you see a room for them, especially in the world of social media, to get together in solidarity? And have you seen it?
Yes, I have. Very powerful moments when meeting with individuals is when they come to an awareness that we as marginalized groups need to stick together. I remember, the same student. She mentioned, everybody has their differences, and it seems like the three main population targets are Mexicans, anyone who's Muslim, and anyone from the LGBTQ community. And so she mentioned that she belonged to an organization, and so she told her fellow peers, like, we've got to get over it. Like, whatever differences we have to be united, because if we're going to make any kind of impact, then we have to support each other, right? And so, like, if it's against DACA recipients, and she's like, me as a Muslim woman, I have to show up and, you know, show my support, and hopefully other people reciprocate. And that is some of the movement of what we have been seeing, is that if there is a silver lining to all of this, is that perhaps unbeknownst to President Trump or others of his administration, he's actually unifying people in a way that has never been done before.
That's very interesting that you said that, because it has happened, yes. And so people, again, the question I have here on Twitter, Radio Belly, okay. It says more of the same question that I had for you, Dr. Flores. What would you advise also the people who are affected by this to do, as far as if you are a DACA recipient, or if you feel that you will be deported soon because you don't have a status in the U.S., what would you advise them psychologically?
To get as much information as possible, because information is power, right? And so, you know, to do the research, to try to inform themselves as much as they can, to realize once again that they have a certain level of control or voice. And you know, that will, you know, redirect the mental energy to, like, I'm helpless, to there's something that I can do, or at least I gave it a good fight, or such, to remain in contact with their families, to maintain their basic needs. I also have advised recently, as much as, you know, individuals really want to see the news lately, to limit it. You know, like, if you have to see the news, and it is important to remain informed, give yourself 5 minutes, you know, of the top headlines, and then turn it off. Because, you know, exposing yourself to the mixed messages and everything else that we talked about, you know, after a while it takes a toll on everybody, and I think we need a break.
Can too much stress, like, cause usually the human brain to freeze sometimes? And
absolutely, that's one of the emotional reactions from trauma. There's, like, you know, you fight, or you flight, you run away, or you freeze, and that's called, you know, a sense of emotional numbing. You know, that's when you really got to worry about someone. Like, there's no more emotional reaction, because they're spent, they're tired, they don't have any more tears to shed, and you feel like you're walking around like a zombie, and that's when the basic needs can go. Absolutely.
All right, we will take our final commercial break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about the Muslim ban and the oral arguments that are going to happen in front of the Supreme Court on October 10th. I'd like to just focus a little bit on that, and we will be back.
أسواق زمزم الواقع على 24065 أورشد لك في مدينة فارمington هيلز ترحب بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. تنزيلات كبيرة على عموم المواد الغذائية في يوم الأربعاء من كل أسبوع. لا تنسوا فريش كاري اوت، جميع انواع المعجنات، وايضا صواني الكامبو المشكله والصمون الحار. لحوم حلال الجاليه العربيه والاسلاميه الملحمه باداره قصاب الجاليه المعروف سلوان جربوع. زوروهم على 24065 اورشد لك في مدينه فارمington هيلز، او اتصلوا بهم على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمذاق عنوان لجميع طلباتكم، اتصلوا على 248-476-0300. اسواق زمزم للمعامله الراقية وكرم الضيافة عنوان.
لايف للإغاثة والتنمية تقدم النجم الصاعد المتميز أمير دندن وسفيرها للنوايا الحسنة الفنان الكبير أحمد فهمي، وعروض شيقة لفرقة تراب بلادي للفلكلور في عدة حفلات في أمريكا: دالاس، هيوستن، تامبا فلوريدا، فيرجينيا، أوهايو، نيو أورليانز، بالإضافة إلى المدن التالية. للمزيد من المعلومات زوروا الموقع الإلكتروني lifeusa.org أو الاتصال بالرقم المجاني 1-800-827-3543.
قشات ميديترينيان ماركت بإدارة سهر قشات وأولاده يرحبون بالجالية العربية والكلدانية. جميع أنواع المواد الغذائية، البان طازجة، الكرزات والبهارات الطازجة. داخل الأسواق مطعم ميديترينيان شيش كباب يقدم يوميا جميع أنواع الكباب، المقبلات العربية العراقية وصواني الكامبو المميزة. تفتح الأسواق من 8 إلى 9 مساء من الاثنين وحتى السبت، ومن 8 صباحا إلى 9 مساء يوم الأحد. تقع الأسواق على 32 2839 نورث ويسترن هايوي في مدينة فارمينغتون هيلز. لحوم حلال للجالية الإسلامية. لطلباتكم من المطعم call 248-538-7855. That is 248-538-7855. قشة ميديترينيان ماركت، خدمة متميزة ومعاملة راقية.
بدأناه معكم وعاهدناكم على أن نستمر بمزيد من المتعة والعروض الحصرية على قناتي زي ألوان وزي أفلام. زي ألوان هي أول وأكبر قناة مسلسلات عربية هندية في أمريكا. أضخم الإنتاجات، مسلسلات حصرية. ومع زي أفلام فأنتم على موعد مع مغامرة جديدة كل يوم لاكتشاف سحر بوليوود. تابعوا حصريا قناتي زي ألوان وزي أفلام الآن في أمريكا على ديش نتورك وسلينج تي في.
And welcome back, Radio Baladi listeners, to this segment of Radio Baladi talking about the DACA recipients and Muslim ban and the psychological effect. We had the pleasure of having Dr. Flores, Suzana Flores, on the line with us. She's a psychologist and a bestseller author of the book Faced Hooked. And we were just talking about the psychological effect and what people should do if they're being affected by all of the bad news, I guess, from the Trump administration. We were just talking about also the Muslim ban and how people, the notion of making it sound and instilling also the psychological fear that we need to make America safe, and to do that we need to ban these people from coming, and we need to know who's who. And the UCIS is not, they don't know, they're not vetting these people very well. And the word of extreme vetting has been mentioned multiple times after, it was coined, I guess. So one thing about that is that really effective of putting this, bombardment of information, and also instilling that fear in the American people that, immigrants are pretty much dangerous or criminals, or that kind of rhetoric? Is that effective psychologically?
Well, once again, it depends on who you ask. If you are trying to separate and confuse people, and your ultimate goal is to try to create a dictatorship-like, environment, then the answer is yes. It's very effective. Otherwise, no. All it does, instilling fear in individuals, is the root of what, anger and hatred does. And so if you have a goal in mind, you do want to separate people and you do want to confuse people. But to name, to say, okay, everyone's a rapist, everyone's a murderer, and they're terrorists, with a few exceptions. What kind of message are you saying you're sending here? You are instilling racism and bigotry and homophobia and all of the other messages that you use to try to separate people and make them question their previously held moral beliefs. It's supposed to be, the roles like that are, speeches like that are supposed to unify. And I think that's why, so many people are confused as to why is this happening? And so the main shift in these messages are don't trust anybody, right? Fear everybody.
Right.
Anyone can kill you at any time. But no one mentions, the national terrorists that, have been Caucasian or et cetera. No one is mentioning that, right? But it's more like fear brown people. That seems to be the overall message that people have been inundated with.
And people usually when they take these messages, especially the ones who are racist, have now a comfort zone kind of thing, expressing themselves in the out open on social media, saying racist things, and even people who have were officials and elected office have actually, for example, we've had a president of a village in Michigan who expressed that he does not want Muslim group to build a resort in his village, and
Mhm.
just because they're
Wow.
Muslim. Yeah, so
Without any care as to how blatantly, racist or illegal that is.
right. So before, it was very shamed, it was very shameful to say such a thing. It was not of American values, and it's still not, but there are people who are like normalizing that, or they making it, okay to be racist kind of thing.
Right. Absolutely. And because we've become so polarized, and once again, if you're listening to a certain news network, all the time you feel validated, or you feel that, your assumptions, if you were on the fence before, you're definitely going to be swayed a certain way, right? Because of the messages that you're receiving, which leads to the reinforcement thought of, well, maybe it is true. They are all, terrorists and rapists and murderers, and because this is happening and this is happening, excuse me, because once again, people are not taking the time, to inform themselves of the real issues with other networks, with other, followers. We're just putting the blinders on, and that's the danger with any society.
Well,
it's just seeing one side of the issue.
right. I was actually in D.C. last week, and the United States Immigration Services Union representative, who represents all these people who work at the UCIS, mentioned that the Muslim ban actually created more confusion and made their job more difficult. And they do not believe it actually protects the United States. So that was very moving and very effective. And this is the first time that the UCIS union, comes out with that statement saying this is not helping us become safe or making our job easier. So it's very interesting of how things move on in the next few days. Especially on October 10th, when the Supreme Court will hear the oral arguments, and the Muslim ban is pretty much, is it going to be in effect, or is it going to be the court will just uphold whatever the lower courts have said, that it's unconstitutional and it's not right. So last word for you, Dr. Flores, before we close.
Yes, I think that we need to be kinder to each other. And as mentioned,
Sure.
We don't know what, DACA recipients feel like, and we don't know, what certain individuals feel like. But it is important to reach out to each other and just, because everybody's feeling a certain level of anxiety, but some are feeling it more than others. And this is where we can check in with each other and use social media appropriately, right, in a positive light. I want to just, spread the word that I support, individuals, who are suffering during this time. Even a simple message like that can mean the world.
It sure does. And thank you so much, Dr. Flores, psychologist, the best author or best-selling author of the book Faced Hooked. Thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all those who have participated on the page or the Radio Baladi hashtag. I really appreciate that as well. From me and from the team, from Mike, thank you very much for listening, and have a great Michigan weekend.